My name is Vic Utek. I discovered this property, nearly 20 years ago when I purchased the property just on the other side of the ridge over here. Between me and this property, Kevin Costner owns 700 acres here, and I actually visited with him and asked him if I could explore on my days off, and he said yes, so I explored his property, and then I ended up on this property. The gentleman that owned it at the time, an older gentleman, was down here mining gold, and got to be pretty good friends with him, and that's how I kind of fell in love with the place. Homestake did a study down here, a drilling process, and on this disc right here, they're claiming that there's over 90,000 confirmed ounces of gold on just this lower 28 acres. The mining permit that I have is a transferable mining permit, which is really rare in the hills here. Nowadays, with the gold bouncing right at $4,000 and the 90,000 ounces, that's $360 million if you were to collect it all, of course. We've got the meadows along the bottom, along the creek. You know, it's full of aspen and pine trees. And then we bump into 400-foot sheer rock walls all on the north side of the property. And then we've got, you know, pretty steep terrain on the south property with some veins and some draws and some coulees going up. The year-round creek puts it at a whole nother level, without a doubt. And believe it or not, in my opinion, the Black Hills doesn't have a lot of creek property, especially private owned. So this is quite rare. If you go up on top of the ridge, you can literally see 4 states and 2 lakes. You can stand right here on the property on the ridge and you can see North Dakota, you can see South Dakota, you'll see Wyoming, and you'll see the corner of Montana. Of course, we have endless amounts of deer. Over the ridge and down on the bottom are hay meadows, and those deer will come back and forth. You know, we've got the meandering elk. They don't loiter too much, but they'll go back and forth to different areas. They just move through. Of course, we've got a few turkeys. So there is opportunities to get elk tags. They have issued a bighorn sheep tag out here, and just this morning I had 8 ewes and 1 small one on the ridge on this rock outcropping here just this morning. So not being a huge avid trout fisherman, I could tell you just yesterday I just grabbed a little Zebco 202 and walked down there, and I made 4 casts and I caught 3 trout, and one was approximately 15.5 inches. The trout size and the numbers are really quite high, and the size is huge. They're unharassed. This is private property. They have no pressure whatsoever. The trout are absolutely phenomenal here. I believe at the Homestake Museum right in town, there's a picture of Custer's men in this valley right up here. I'm just positive that is that valley right here. And it's rumored that the Potato Creek Johnny was even down here for a while. You know, this is not supposedly where he found the huge nugget. That was up by the Tinton Mine area. But what happened is a lot of the Orientals showed up in Deadwood, and they would do a lot of the cooking and the cleaning, you know, laundry and those types of things. And this valley ended up being kind of home for those folks. There's all kinds of home sites all down along the creek here. This valley was once truly packed with pack mules, pickaxes, and gold pans. You got the normal stuff, you know, the skiing, you've got the Deadwood entertainment, you know, all the Sturgis entertainment. You've got the hiking, the fishing, the snowmobiling. Right down in this valley, I have people request if they could do rock climbing. That cabin is nothing more than a small utility shed that I renovated into a little cabin. There's nothing greater than just stepping out on that porch next to the creek with a glass of bourbon and a good cigar and just absolutely letting the world disappear on you. I would say there's 20 excellent building sites on this property, and 14 of those are creekfront properties. They're very easily accessible. That is a true potential for somebody moving forward if they would chose to do such a thing. I personally would never develop it. I'm a developer, but I would never develop it. I like it the way it is because this is my retreat. This is how I get away from the reality of the world, you might say. But if you want to get back to civilization, you're just minutes away. And you can get anything you need right in the area. And the entertainment, you know, obviously Deadwood has multiple events. Sturgis has multiple events. And then of course spearfish, I mean, there's really nothing you can't get as far as your needs down here, even rental equipment or something if you got a project. I think this is the best piece of property that I'm aware of in the Black Hills because we're surrounded by Forest Service on 3 sides. The access coming in itself is beautiful. We got 2 miles of former railroad with 2 trestles. You're just not gonna find a piece like this in the Black Hills of South Dakota. It's not out there.